Hey everyone, Moxie here. Welcome back. Today I am just going to show you guys how I made the little Korok cosplay for my baby. There's a lot of different ways that you can do this, and I'm going to kind of talk about what I would do. But I just kind of used the resources I had on hand. So these are the supplies I used. 2 pieces of green felt, a little brown onesie, a little green headband, and a couple of paint pens, paint markers, Sharpies. They're not Sharpies, but yeah, they dispense paint in pen form. And then so those are the basic supplies. I ended up not using this paint, so you can just ignore that. And then yeah, this is the other section of the supplies. To the left is some iron-on vinyl, a couple different pairs of scissors, a fabric pen, and then a hot glue gun. Okay, so what I did was, like I said, I just used what I had on hand. So I used the paint pens that I had to just kind of draw out the pattern on the brown onesie. I just like looked up a picture of a Korok on Google and just kind of made up my own pattern. I outlined it and then I filled it in. This is really inefficient and was really not my favorite thing to do. If I had to get all of my resources for this, I definitely would have done this differently. I would have definitely got the same onesie. I think it's a really good color, but I would have got some dark brown iron-on vinyl to use instead. Especially since, you know, for a baby, they're not going to be wearing it that many times. It doesn't really need to hold up for a long time, and iron-on vinyl will hold up perfectly well for as long as you'll need it to, especially for this project. So that would be my suggestion if you're looking, you know, to make your own and you don't happen to have, you know, a decently colored paint pens on hand. I would definitely recommend just buying iron-on vinyl and just cutting out the patterns. Iron-on vinyl is super easy to work with because you can just literally cut it into the shape that you need, and very little of it goes to waste too, because you can use the little pieces for later projects. It's really great stuff. But yeah, so I ended up running out of the colors that I was originally using, the 2 paint pens that I had that were like this darkish gold, dark brown color. I ended up running out, and again, I was just trying to use some of my old craft supplies, so I went and found like this goldish one, like a brighter yellow, brighter gold, and just since the front was already finished and this was just for a little section on the back, I decided not to worry about it and just use that one. It is still Korok-ish colored, and it still gets the job done, and yeah, this was a really great excuse for me to finally use some of these paint pens that I've had for far too long. So yeah, that is what I did for the onesie part. Just buy a onesie and add the little shaping. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. There's several different options. The paint that I showed at the beginning, I also had considered using as well. You can use puff paint to outline it and then just fill it in with a paintbrush. So yeah, you have a lot of different options, but like I said, I do think that iron-on vinyl would be the quickest and easiest thing to use. So if that is an option for you, I would definitely go that route. Here we have the finished product of the onesie. I'm super happy with how this came out. It's super cute, and I just really like it. Yeah, I'm just so excited for my baby to wear this and to be a baby Korok. It's gonna be adorable. onto the second piece of the costume, the Korok mask. This thing is literally just 2 pieces. It's the mask and the onesie. Onesie's done. For the mask, I did end up buying 2 pieces of green felt. I thought I had some old green fabric on hand that I was going to use. I was going to use some interfacing to give it a solid backing and do it that way, but it turns out I didn't have the fabric, so I did end up buying just some cheap felt, and 1 piece of felt is perfectly stable enough. It'll get the job done, but I wanted to do 2 pieces just to make sure that it was stable, so I just made a pattern. I picked out one of my favorite Korok face shapes. There's a lot of different Korok shapes that you can go with. I picked out one of my favorite, patterned it out on a piece of paper before putting it onto the felt. Trace it out, cut it out. The felt pieces were just a tad bit too small for the whole face, but I just, ended up cutting a little piece, which is what that little top section at the top is just that little extra bit that the piece of felt couldn't accommodate. For attaching it, I was gonna sew it, but then I was just like, I don't feel like getting out the sewing machine, so sewing it is a perfectly viable option, and it would actually probably be like probably just as quick as gluing it, honestly, with the amount of time it ended up taking me to hot glue it. I wasn't sure how long it would take. I thought it'd be quicker. I do think that sewing or gluing would be about the same time commitment, so whatever your preference is there. Originally I tried using super glue, but it did soak right through the felt, which is why I ended up using the hot glue. The hot glue worked perfectly well, though. You saw that I did try to glue it all together at once. If I were to do something like this again, I would just glue it in sections, probably like 1 leaf at a time, because I did end up having to go back and kind of re-glue the little tips, as you saw. So yeah, after I got the mask glued together, I drew on the little face, and again, I just pulled up a reference picture of a Korok and found a little Korok face that I liked because they have a lot of different facial expressions, and I just used, this is another paint pen. It's black, you can just use Sharpie too. The paint pen and Sharpie would probably look about the same on felt at the end of the day. So yeah, that's the little Korok face. So the next step is to just get the little like leafy veins on there, and this is what I'm using my iron-on vinyl for. And again, this was just something I had on hand. The light green ended up working out pretty well. I was pretty happy that I happened to have like a pretty suitable color on hand for this. I think if I were to make the mask again, I would probably end up doing the same thing. I like the darker color for the mask and the lighter color for the veins. So you might be able to get away with using some puff paint or some fabric paint instead, but I wanted like the sharp, clear lines. But that's your preference. The puff paint or some other kind of fabric paint would probably work just as well, as long as the lighter color is able to like show up on top of the darker color, or you could swap and do the lighter color for the mask and the darker color for the veins. So the next step is to put on the veins. Sometimes I had to do a little bit of like last minute trimming for some of the pieces to get them to not swallow up the little face that I made. And sometimes when I'm using iron-on vinyl, I do not need to use the little protective like wax paper that it comes with, but felt is very heat sensitive, so I did not feel comfortable putting the iron directly on the felt. I'm pretty sure that would melt it. So if you don't have the wax parchment paper stuff that, if you do use the iron-on vinyl, if you do not have that, I would recommend just using a piece of muslin or some other type of fabric, just a fabric scrap, anything to have something between the felt and the iron, or else you probably will lose your felt, and it'll probably ruin the iron-on vinyl. and it might end up with, you might end up with a sticky mess on your iron as well. So yeah, just make sure there's something in between the heat source and the felt. And so here, my partner and I are kind of discussing and plotting out like the last few little sections of the Korok veins. You can pretty much do whatever you want with this. We kind of just found a pattern and a style for the mask that we like. Koroks, like I said, have all different shapes and sizes, all different types of faces and patterns, so there's a lot of flexibility with this if you do something like this for your own baby. So yeah, just, you know, use your own creative freedom or your own creative liberty to find, you know, a cute little Korok face that is going to work best for you and your cute little Korok that you're making a costume for. And then here we are, just finishing up the iron-on vinyl section, and now it's time to attach the headband to the mask so the Korok face can actually be on the baby's face. And by that, I mean on the baby's head. I ended up putting the Korok, so we carry our baby in a carrier on our chests, so we ended up putting on the mask, and you'll see this at the end of the video, the mask so it was like at the back of the baby's head, so they can still look around and see around, and then the Korok face is facing the outside, or the back of their head, so people can see it, and then it also doesn't obscure the baby's vision. So that is a win-win for everyone. So yeah, just any type of headband. I just ordered this one so it would have like the elastic, but if you've got some leftover fabric, or if you just want to make a little bow to tie around the baby's head, as long as it's not too tight, you should be good to go. But I just wanted to buy one so I knew it would be the right elasticity and that it wouldn't be uncomfortable for baby. So we're just finishing up this costume here. Let me know what you guys think about this video. If you want me to do more cosplay tutorials and more little projects like this, let me know. This isn't going to be a normal type of video for me on this channel unless y'all really like it and y'all want to see more. So please let me know how you feel about this type of video. Would really appreciate it. So yeah. Here is the completed mask with the little headband attached. The costume is all done now, and here are the two components of it. I was so excited for this, you guys. My baby looked so freaking cute. Your baby would look cute as a Korok. All babies would look cute as Koroks, okay? Let's be honest, Koroks are great. And yes, there is the baby in our carrier with the little mask, just flashing it out for the world to see. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this gave you inspiration and gave you ideas for your own kids' costumes. I'll see you next time. Take care of yourself.